For my regular YouTube audience, you know what you need to do next to get to the information that you want from this video. But for those who are new to my channel, here are some key points to help you work best with the information in this video. Number 1. Timestamps and other important information can be found in the description to this video. Number 2. The dates of the energies that are unfolding in the week ahead are in the introduction section of this video. Number 3. The degrees of current planet placements and their location in signs are also in the introduction section of this video. Number 4. I'm a personal astrologer giving a general astrology reading in this video. For some people it will resonate. For others, it will not this week due to the influence of planets in your own personal horoscope. It may vary from week to week how much my forecast will resonate with you. If you would like a reading with me to explore your own chart further, the link is also in the description for this video. Number 5. I am using the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis in this video. Number 6. By listening to the introduction, it's going to help you know what's in store for you this week. And then you can go to your sun, moon, and rising signs for more information on what to expect specifically. Number 7. I use both Vedic and Western astrology techniques with what is known as the tropical astrology chart, or, for those who aren't aware, the Western astrology chart. Please explore the placement of your Western or tropical astrology sun, moon, and rising signs using the timestamps for this video. Number 8. Haters and hateful comments will be removed from this video. This is a safe space for everyone who visits here, and like a good bouncer at a nightclub would do, I will eject any haters from this platform. And now here's a final couple of tidbits of information for you about how to use this video. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam. Report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Hello everybody, I want to empower you through the tool of astrology this week, and this week we are looking at the energies that are playing out between the 14th to the 21st of December. And before we get stuck in, I just want to remind everybody that the Royal Stars Academy is on sale until the end of the year. This is my end of 2024 special for $250 off the usual price for a package of both introductory and intermediate astrology. Now, if you want to buy them separately, you can do so. There's a deal for that as well, but it's a much better bargain to buy both of them together. So all you've got to do is head to the link in the description below and don't miss out before this sale is done for the end of 2024. Remember, folks, advanced level of the Royal Stars Academy I'm planning on releasing in time for spring equinox this March. So get in now and start your journey of astrological studies before that happens. And you're going to want to jump in on that one too. So let's have a look at what's happening this week. First off, on the 18th of December, that's Australian time too, by the way. You might like to check, make sure what time it's happening in your part of the world. We're going to be having the Sun in a square to Neptune over here. So here is Neptune in the latter degrees of Pisces, a mutable sign making a square to the Sun in the latter degrees of Sagittarius, also a mutable sign. Do you dig spirituality, my friends? Do you get a boost of joy from creativity? Then you're going to be able to work with this energy to the best of your advantage. But for many others who can't do that or who don't know how to do that, this is a difficult energy that can see us losing our usual vitality and maybe craving a nana nap. what's wrong with that anyway, every now and then. It's a real energy to be aware of, though. This happens twice a year that the sun makes a square aspect to Neptune, because what it represents is the potential to be deceived by a male or some authority figure. Sun represents such people. Neptune is deception. So when they come together in this difficult aspect, that's when it can manifest in that way. Also, we can have a bit of absent-mindedness as well, where sort of like the Homer Simpson with the dough kind of energy happening. We have also this need potentially under this energy to escape from the bluntness of modern life. And don't we all wish we could do that in some way, shape or form at the moment? But we need to be careful of escaping from reality in ways that are detrimental under this square aspect. Too much to drink, too much food, too many drugs, too much sex, too much exercise, too much social media. It leaves us feeling depleted if we're not careful. Just forewarned about that one. What can you do under this energy on the 18th? Well, take that nana nap. Go for it. You have my permission. Or escape into loveliness and peace wherever and however you can. That's much more of the higher vibration of Neptune to embrace. Then on the 19th, the day after, we are having a really beautiful energy forming. It's another energy that forms roughly twice a year. It is a trine between Venus over here in Aquarius and Jupiter over here in the air sign of Gemini. Happy, joy, my friends. For those who get sick of astrological forecasts of doom and gloom, this energy, the 19th of December, you are going to experience all the positivity you seek. Love is in the air, your dancing shoes get dusted off, there's high fives aplenty. You know what that feeling is like when the sun shines, the birds sing, and your favorite song comes on the playlist. That's the energy of the 19th. We love it. What's not to enjoy? I would suggest using this sparkly buzz to help you heal any fractures in relationships or connect with the people that you really love. Take a day off just to be and enjoy being alive. Make investments. Shop for something that will bring you delight. It's all good under this lovely 19th of December energy. You could also be on the receiving end of some sort of good fortune at this time as well. A heartwarming smile from a stranger, somebody compliments you and it sets your heart aglow. You get a special gift or a favor that just thrills you to your fingertips. That's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about anything like out of the box big, but just something little that just keeps your heart humming for the whole day. What a lovely energy to enjoy. Then, my friends, on the 21st of December, the sun is going to move out of Sagittarius and into Capricorn. Well, happy birthday to all my Capricorn friends experiencing their birthday in the next 30 days under Capricorn season. This sun in Capricorn energy is about wanting to identify ourselves, sun is our identity, with accomplishments and success. Capricorn is the top of the mountain, getting the view from the pinnacle. So this is about taking another step up the social ladder in the coming month. We might be more inclined to pursue activities that take us there. We earn our successes now through Capricornian mechanisms, perseverance, determination, and good old-fashioned hard work. And as we do, in comes the satisfaction of having mastered the material world just a little bit more and created something valuable for ourselves in the long term as well. That's what the next 30 days of the sun here is all about. It's time to accept our responsibilities. It's time to plan for the long term. It's time to view our lives with pragmatism and realism in the month ahead. Great energy to be in, as this is often when we're making our New Year resolutions while the sun is in Capricorn. And speaking of such key pivotal moments in the year, the 21st of December will be solstice. This is a time to celebrate, and I just want to ask you all, what are you doing for your solstice celebration this year? A winter bonfire, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or a beachside picnic if you're in the Southern Hemisphere? Wherever you are in the world, this is a precious time to remember the movement of the sun between the two tropic points, Cancer and Capricorn. This happens annually. Life moves in cycles and seasons, and the good news that this reminds us of is that change and growth are ever with us. We are never stuck. So the sun is making a different direction. It's moving from its furthest declination, now moving back towards the equator and equinoxes again. As this happens, the southern hemisphere experiences its longest day and the northern hemisphere experiences its shortest day and starts its gradual move back to warm, lazy days of summer. In the southern hemisphere, we start to, from now on, experience days growing increasingly shorter, which I don't really like to see because it reminds me that winter's on its way again. But we realize at this point, solstice, that we have so much to be thankful for as we mark off another milestone around our beautiful star. But the energy we're going to be exploring today for all signs is quite an interesting one. This is Mercury turning direct. So for 3 weeks now, Mercury has been retrograde. And the key to working with that 3-week Mercury retrograde period is the idea of revamp, renew, research, reconnect, and resolve. And now that Mercury is at his most powerful, meaning he's very close to the Earth, and he's just turned direct, it's time to get going with everything that we've been focusing our on for the last 3 weeks. Have you researched your next big step in life? Well, then it's time to make a move and put some action into it. Have you resolved conflicts and tensions that are present in your life? Well, time to celebrate things feeling a lot lighter now. Have you reviewed your decisions that you've been making in your life that needed some second thoughts? Well, now it's time to move forward with a new solid direction. What are you waiting for, my friends? Mercury retrograde brings momentum to everything we've been working on. Let's talk a little bit more about Mercury retrograde period before we dive into the all signs breakdown. This occurred between the 22nd degree of Sagittarius. That happened on the 25th of November 2024. And we were in Mercury retrograde until he hit 6 degrees of Sagittarius, just happening on the 15th of December this week. So where are we? Sagittarius is here. So he was moving, like I said, between 22nd degrees, which is roughly about here, and back to 6 degrees of Sagittarius. So the whole time he was in this zone of Sagittarius, moving backwards, and now he's about to move forwards across that shadow period, that zone once again. And during that time, the last 3 weeks while Mercury was moving retrograde, he entered into his Promethean phase when he was made cazimi with the sun. Now, cazimi is very interesting, and a lot of astrologers get it wrong because cazimi only occurs with Mercury and with Venus. It doesn't occur with any other planet. Some might say maybe the moon is cazimi when we have an eclipse. That is actually an accurate description, but we just don't call it cazimi, we call it an eclipse. But it's only Mercury and Venus that can be cazimi, because only Mercury and Venus, when they are retrograde, are in a conjunction with the sun. Every other planet is retrograde when it is opposite the sun. So only Mercury and Venus are retrograde, i.e. in front of the sun, when they are conjunct with the sun. When Mercury is conjunct with the sun but not retrograde, he's behind the sun. And that is considered to be, and I'll just demonstrate here, hopefully you can, whoops, I'll whiz it around here. Hopefully you can see that. When Mercury is conjunct with the sun, but not retrograde, juggling my board. There we are. And conjunct with the sun but behind the sun, because it's moving direct, what that means is it's combust, and Mercury's energy is lost in the vibrations of the sun, lost in the glare of the sun. But it's just so different when Mercury is retrograding, because Mercury is in front of the sun when he's retrograde. He's before the king of the solar system, mingling his vibrations with the vibrations of the sun, and that affects us very differently. It's not combust, it's cazimi. And I explain this, mostly every Venus and Mercury retrograde. I go into an explanation of what this is. Now, this occurred on the 6th of December, that we had Mercury cazimi with the sun. Interestingly, that was also the day that Mars turned retrograde, and I had a whole video about that when that happened. Do check that out. It's on the YouTube playlist. But that is also known, Mercury cazimi is known as the beginning of the Mercury Promethean cycle. And Mercury stays in his Promethean cycle until he comes around behind the sun in direct motion and hits his combustion. Okay, that is all the Mercury Promethean phase, but there is Mercury Promethean retrograde and Mercury Promethean direct phase. Let's have a look at what Mercury Promethean phase is all about. And those familiar with the mythology of Prometheus will get a bit of a gist of this. The Promethean cycle of Mercury gives spontaneity and impulsiveness, and it's very constructive, but it also gives people who are born under Mercury Promethean energy a bit of a restless mind, it's great for new ideas, it's great for creative expression. We look for independence from social conventions when we're born under Mercury Promethean phase, and this is also true by transit when we're in the Mercury Promethean phase as well. It gives us a rebelliousness towards the past and a rebelliousness towards its the traditions of the past. You know, I have Mercury Promethean phase in my chart, and I've really enjoy sticking it to the man, quite frankly. We seek freedom, and Promethean retrograde is actually rarer than Promethean direct. Promethean retrograde phase only lasts 10 days, and then we move into the Promethean direct cycle of Mercury, which lasts longer, which is about 40 to 50 days. But a few days after Mercury turns direct, which is what it's doing on the 15th of December here, it reaches its furthest distance from the sun, about 28 degrees usually from the sun. And then Promethean direct energy gives us a different energy to what I've just described with Promethean Mercury retrograde. At that time, we get a very quick mind, and we get high intelligence and a more peaceful mental state as well. We can be very driven if we're born under Promethean Mercury direct. We can be more driven by external, social and real world issues rather than more inner drives and inner issues. We're more eager and energetic and intuitive about our lives, and we're very future oriented. Often Promethean direct Mercury people are able to make things happen on a large scale too. They have this manifesting energy. And of course, this is what we're moving into right now. The eager energy, the energetic energy, the intuitive energy, and the future orientation and ability to make things happen on a large scale. So quite an exciting time to be moving into this 40 to 50 day process of Promethean Mercury direct energy. So in a sign, Sagittarius, that's so connected to knowledge and wisdom and morality, Mercury retrograde was a time for revamping anything and everything to do with the direction of our lives, our future orientation, where we're heading. Now that Mercury is in his Promethean direct phase, we're all G'd up to give our life more meaning and more purpose. We want to expand our presence on the planet and do this in a large scale. This is a very pertinent direct period that we're entering into for personal growth. And the whole retrograde cycle was very geared to personal growth and expansion as well. Now, Mercury retrograde over the last 3 weeks should have allowed us the energetic time and space to research our next big step in life, to consider training and studies to improve our options in the future. Hopefully everyone signed up for the Royal Stars Academy to do so. To redirect our beliefs to something more aligned with who we actually are and our purpose and mission in this incarnation. It also allowed us time to revisit and explore new ideas that we can help integrate into our lives now that Mercury is direct again. So lots of changes have occurred during this period. That was a very brief synopsis of Mercury retrograde. In my Royal Stars Academy, I do a much deeper breakdown, probably a little bit more clarity involved as well in exploring the Promethean cycle of Mercury, which is just so beautiful and so interesting to understand how it plays out for each of us individually. But now we're going to explore what this Mercury direct phase means for all signs. We're going to start, of course, with Sagittarius. Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius Sun and also Sagittarius Moon can all consider this particular analysis. Mercury direct. Well, Saggies, you have had time to really reconsider your life, where you're heading. You've, made some renewed commitments. You've reviewed your decisions. You've revamped everything and researched your next step. And it's really pertaining to everything that your life is about. I'm going to use Vedic analysis in this breakdown rather than I usually use Western. I thought I'd do something a bit different with this video and just focus on the Vedic analysis. But basically, the first house in the Vedic system is all about our path through life. So Mercury retrograde 3-week period has given you the chance to review everything that pertains to your path in life, where you're heading, what you want to achieve, who you want to be. And we're talking about who you want to be in the next 2 weeks, who you want to be in the next 2 years, who you want to be in the next 20 years. You've been able to use this energy of Mercury retrograde to review commitments and decisions pertaining to your path and your future direction. So that's quite exciting. A lot of you will have come up with a new plan, a new orientation. You might have even changed things 180 degrees from where you were 3 weeks ago based on this Mercury cycle. Some of you have been able to resolve any conflicts in your life, and that's going to give you the chance to make a fresh start. It's renewed your sense of happiness, your sense of self. You've come back into your own identity. You're starting to embrace your own I am so much more than ever now, thanks to Mercury having turned direct and given you this chance to resolve conflicts and make a fresh start in your life. The first house is a house of well-being. And happiness as well. It's a house of happiness. And we know Sagittarius people are usually very upbeat and bright and optimistic. That's part of their persona, and that contributes a great deal to the well-being and happiness of Sagittarian people. But having Mercury now, having given you this chance to make a fresh start, your well-being is enhanced. And happiness is enhanced by Mercury turning direct because you have made the changes necessary to do so. And for many Sagittarius people, this is very much going to be pertaining to relationship changes and fresh starts. Why? Because Mercury is the ruler of the 7th house. This is the relationship axis, 1st house to 7th house. You've got the ruler of the 7th house in your 1st house, having just done its retrograde process. So you have been able to turn things around with a relationship, with a commitment, with a partnership that is going to now affect your well-being and happiness for the positive moving forward. So renewing commitments, revamping the way you're doing relationship, researching how you're going to take this relationship forward. This has all been part of the process for the last 3 weeks. And now you can really move ahead with relationships because of the rulership of Mercury being in the house of you. Your health, your well-being, your happiness is very tied to this. And just to conclude, some of you Sagittarius people have probably made some new resolutions and commitments regarding your physical health and well-being, because your appearance, your body, your physical health is very connected to the 1st house. So some of you might have, gone on a new diet or started a new exercise program. Maybe you've changed your whole wardrobe or got a new haircut. That sort of thing has been part of this process of renewing who you are and how you show up in the world and how you present to the world under Mercury retrograde here. And so enjoy it. Move forward with that energy now and embrace the new you that has emerged from this cycle. Thank you, Sagittarius, rising sun and moon people. Capricorn, rising sun and moon people. Well, the energy of Mercury retrograde has been moving through, for the last 3 weeks, your 12th house. This has been a time of second thoughts and second chances, renewed commitments and decisions, revamping of everything. Now, in the Vedic system, and I'm using a Vedic analysis here of the 12th house rather than a Western analysis, just for something different. In the Vedic system, the 12th house has to do with debts and expenses. So many of you Capricorn people will have been reviewing your debts and expenses. You might have been changing how you are addressing a lot of your budgetary issues. You might have been thinking twice about some sort of financial commitment that you've made or a debt that you've been dealing with, and made some changes there, revamping that. You might have been researching what your next step is going to be to address those debts and expenses. Some of you might have had an opportunity, because Mercury has to do with buying and selling and trading, to really to do some buying and selling and trading. And certainly the 12th house has to do with bargains. So you might have bought something for a bargain. You might have traded something for a bargain. But bargains are seen through the 12th house, and Mercury retrograding here has given you a chance to review that. I'm just thinking, recently I sold, I didn't sell, I actually gave it away, a fabulous 1960s sort of atomic lamp. And I was just in a mood for clearing everything out of my house, and I gave it away, which whoever gets it, it'll be an absolute bargain, because it's worth about $200. So somebody's going to get a bargain out of my clearing out, I think, of my house. That will be my expense and somebody else's bargain for sure. But Capricorn, this is also a house of moksha, which means liberation. Now, if you think about liberation, it's about ending something. You're liberated from it. You're freed from it. So liberation has to do with endings. That's what moksha means. So you may have, ended something, Capricorn, at some point when Mercury moved into the sign of Sagittarius. You might have ended something, and then with Mercury's retrograde process, you might have sort of reconsidered that ending, or reviewed that ending. Was it really what you wanted? Did you end it in the way that was best for everybody? Maybe you have a chance now that Mercury's turned direct to change that ending if it wasn't suitable, to wrap up that ending now in a way that does align with you, that makes you feel better. Some of you might, with this energy, might get a chance to reconnect with friends and relatives from your past as well, under this energy too, because the 12th house has to do with our long ago past, like long ago. It can have also to do with our past lives. So, I remember when I was a little girl, probably about 4 years old, we had a massive family reunion on my father's side. We all travelled to this town, Benalla, in Australia, and all got together with my aunts, my great aunts and uncles, who I very rarely ever saw. And they're all passed away now, more's the pity, but if I was younger and experiencing this energy, I might have the opportunity to catch up with those great aunts and uncles who I hadn't seen since I was 4 at the family reunion. This is the kind of thing that can happen, where we reconnect with people from our deep past, from long ago. Friends and relatives with Mercury retrograding here. Also, just to conclude here, Capricorn, the 12th house is to do with bedroom pleasures in the Vedic astrology system. And of course, some of you might be revisiting some of your bedroom pleasures from long ago. Maybe you tossed out those bedroom toys and you're like, damn it, I really miss those fluffy handcuffs. And so what do? You pop down the street and maybe find yourself a bargain of fluffy handcuffs, because you're revisiting the themes of the 12th house. Bedroom pleasures, fun things, the toys of the bedroom, etc. They're all 12th house themes. So for many Capricorn people, that can be quite an interesting experience with Mercury retrograding here in your 12th house. Sounds like fun. All right, thank you, Capricorn. Moving on to Aquarius. Aquarius rising, Sun or Moon people. Well, the energy of Mercury having just come out of his retrograde phase here in your 11th house. And I'm using Vedic house analysis here just to mix things up a bit from my usual Western house meanings. This has been a time of second thoughts and second chances pertaining to the 11th house. What's the 11th house all about? It's about, in Vedic astrology, major goals, major ambitions, not the minor stuff like, oh, I think tomorrow my goal will be to get fit or whatever. No. This is more like, I want to publish a book, or I want to create a film. What are your major goals and major ambitions? Well, when Mercury retrogrades through this space, he's making you review your major goals and your major ambitions and refine them. He's making you research the next steps required for those major goals and ambitions. And now that he's turned direct, you probably have more momentum, more clarity, more direction about how to achieve those major goals and major ambitions. Something to be celebrated for sure. So the time has come for you to move ahead with those. The time has come for you to take action on those major goals and ambitions and your desires. Of course, this is one of the desire houses. This is also a very social house in the Western astrology system. It's the house of friendships and large social groups. In the Vedic astrology system, it's about social life. So you might have been reanalyzing your social life. Do I really connect with those people? Are they really my kind of, vibe? Do I, is that really floating my boat to hang out with those guys? You are reanalyzing and reassessing your social life when Mercury is retrograding through the 11th house. And of course, now that Mercury is direct, you can put action into that analysis. Okay, I'm not going to have anything to do with that social group anymore because I don't align with them anymore. Now I align more with this sort of people or these sorts of groups. And so you make the change now that Mercury has gone direct. You put it into action with Mercury direct. So different social life is definitely on the cards, different friendship circles for many of our Aquarius friends. This is also an energy of reconnection. So some of you might have had the chance to reconnect with old friends from the past, old social groups from the past, from long, long ago during Mercury retrograde cycle. And that could have given a lot of clarity to your social interactions as well and how you interact with other people. Another thing that is represented by Mercury retrograde is the opportunity to resolve conflicts and make a fresh start. Some of you might have been making peace with old friends or people that you've known in the past, networks and connections that you've had. It doesn't mean that you're going to have necessarily an ongoing relationship with those people, but you can sort of wipe the slate clean so that the friendship ends in a healthy way now. You've been given a chance to review it and to reconnect or resolve what didn't end nicely. So hopefully you've had the chance to do that and come out the other side feeling much better about that particular friendship. This is also the house of income in Vedic astrology, the income that we make from our career, our worldly achievements, our worldly actions, the income that we can make from our good reputation. And you might have been reviewing your commitments regarding job and career and how it's facilitating your income. So there might be some changes that you're now implementing towards how you achieve money from your job and career. So let me try and give an example of that. Maybe you were aligned with a particular job and it was your be all and end all. And when Mercury went retrograde, you were like, you know what, I think I could make more money working 2 days a week at my career, my job, and working as a consultant 3 days a week on the side. I might shift it around a bit. I might renew the commitment I had to this company and shake things up a little bit. So you review your commitment, you review your decision, you make a change to create more income and more profitability for yourself under this energy. So why not? Go for it. This is about redefining how you make your money. And finally, I'll just conclude, my Aquarius friends, with the fact that Mercury is ruling the house opposite Sagittarius, in this case Gemini, and the 5th house. So what this means is that there has been a chance to review and reconsider your connections with children as well, and how you're parenting and how you're relating to your children. Review love relationships also. Some of you might have had lovers come back from the past because of this energy as well, that you've reconnected with. Whether you form a relationship with them or not is kind of immaterial. You've just had a chance to reconnect and experience being with one another in some way, shape or form again. That's been an event that's occurred during this Mercury retrograde period. Some of you might have also had a chance to review your creative processes as well and revisit old hobbies over the last 3 weeks, because hobbies and creative works are seen through the 5th house. So you might have had a chance to make a reconnection with those things and revisit some of those activities also. Thank you, Aquarius, rising, sun or moon. Okay, Pisces, Pisces rising, sun or moon people. The energy of Mercury retrograde has happened in your 10th house. And Pisces, I'm using the Vedic system of analysis to talk about this Mercury retrograde process, just to mix it up and have something different. You have had a time of second thoughts and second chances with career and career success. So Pisces, during the last 3 weeks, the universe has given you, a chance to look at how you're making your career work for you, how you're making money through career. This is an Artha house in the Vedic system. It's a wealth house. So you have been looking at your dharma, your purpose, the meaning of your worldly achievements. And maybe you've made some new decisions about how you're going to move forward, how you're going to undertake your career, and you've changed something. You're revamping your career. Now, I'm a Pisces rising person, and of course, my career is my astrology. So it stands to reason that during this retrograde period, I have been reviewing maybe how I'm running my astrology channel. Maybe I'm reviewing how I'm doing readings. Maybe I'm reviewing how I'm presenting the Royal Stars Academy and making necessary changes to make it better and improve it. And I should have said this for the previous signs, but mutable signs are all about improvement. And so this is Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. We are here to improve upon things. We always want to make things better than they were before. So this is very pertinent to Mercury retrograding and coming out of this Mercury retrograde period into direct motion. We want to improve upon our career and our career offering to the world right now. We've had the chance to do so. So now that we've reviewed everything, Pisces, it's time to take action. It's time to do those readings in a different way. It's time to run your YouTube channel in a different manner. It's time to do your teaching and your instruction in a changed way. So in that sense, Mercury retrograde brings about some really exciting momentum for those who are very G'd up about their career and their worldly achievements. This is the house of visible actions out in the world, not just career actions, but visible actions such as leadership. Maybe you're a scout leader. Maybe you're the secretary of the parents' committee at the local high school or something. Well, your leadership positions have gone through some reconsideration over the last 3 weeks. Are you happy with how the position that you've got, or do you want something more, or do you want to pare back a bit? You have had a chance to reconsider and do things differently. Now that Mercury is direct, you can take action on that reanalysis. Maybe some of you Pisces people have also had a chance to make a fresh start with a boss or an authority figure or a relationship with the government, even here in the 10th house of authority figures and worldly power. So this has been a chance to review your commitment to a certain company or organization, review your relationship with a boss or the government, and make some changes where changes are needed. And now that Mercury has turned direct, you can move ahead with those changes and the implementation of those changes and move forward. Now, also, Mercury is the ruler of the house opposite its retrograde placement this time around. And so what does that mean? That means that this also applies to the 4th house. Many of you Pisces people have had a chance to review where you're living and your lifestyle and the domestic situation of your life and make changes there as well. You might have had a chance to reconnect with family as well, to resolve conflicts with a family member, to make some connections of a meaningful way with your mother. 4th house is mother, 5th house is father. So some of you Pisces people have had a chance to really touch base with your parents as well. Also, you might have been reconsidering and reviewing your role as a parent and how you parent because of these connections too. Maybe you're about to make some changes to that sphere of your life. And it's all good to move ahead with that right now as Mercury is direct. Thank you, Pisces. All right, Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon people. Well, Mercury has been retrograding for the last 3 weeks in your 9th house, and I'm going to be using Vedic astrology assessments of houses to explain how this might have been impacting your life and how you can move ahead with things now. The ninth house in Vedic astrology has to do with travel and higher education and long journeys. So some of you Aries people will have been thinking about going overseas. Maybe you bought a ticket months ago to go to Europe or something like that, and now you're reviewing, oh, should I have done that? It's going to be a difficult time. I'm juggling this, I'm juggling that. And you've had a chance to review your decision to travel and how you're going to go about it. And now, whatever the outcome of that decision was, now you can move ahead with that choice, that decision that you've made, and make the changes that need to happen. Maybe you had decided you're going to go to university, or maybe you decided you were going to come and study with me at the Royal Stars Academy. Some sort of higher learning, which is represented by the ninth house, has been maybe under review. Why did I commit to that? I'm not sure it's really what I want to do. And you've had a chance to review that, renew your commitment to it, or revamp how you're going about that commitment to higher education, and perhaps approach it in a new way now that Mercury has turned direct. This is the house also to do with luck and good fortune in the Vedic astrology system. So some of you, you might have felt like your luck was going a bit backwards while Mercury was retrograding, but now that he's direct, you have momentum for good fortune, momentum for good luck. And it's not so much because this is the house of connection to the divine through prayer and meditation and so forth. This is much more about the divine having an influence on you rather than you and your decisions and your choices having an influence on your luck and good fortune. So it is likely that now you're feeling closer to the divine, feeling like your prayers are being heard, feeling like they are effectual now, while the last 3 weeks might have felt a bit empty in that regard. Some of you might have had some conflicts with gurus at some point. This Mercury retrograde phase has probably given you a chance to make a fresh start with a guru. And by the word guru, I mean somebody who is a source of inspiration to you, somebody who is, a teacher in your life, somebody who's a wisdom giver in your life. And you might have been able to reconnect and regrow a relationship with a guru. This is also, the Mercury retrograde period is a time when we can reconnect with friends and relatives as well. And here in the ninth house, I was going to say seventh house, the ninth house, it represents our grandchildren. So you might have been able to sort of spend some time with your grandchildren, enjoy your grandchildren more than ever before during Mercury retrograde phase, and really establish a strong and solid relationship with your grandchildren here too. It's a spiritual house. Some of you might have been reviewing your ethical beliefs and your morals and your worldview, your philosophies. Some of you might have been reviewing your spiritual allegiance at this time, Aries. And now that Mercury is direct, you know what you want to align with morally and ethically. You know where you stand. And the changes that Spirit has been putting on your heart now, you can start to live by. You can start to enact. You can start to work with now that Mercury is direct. Aries, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Gemini sits opposite Sagittarius. So a lot of these impacts that I'm talking about can also play out regarding the Gemini house in your chart, which is the third house. So it's very much to do with reviewing decisions for maybe undertaking some sort of workshop or doing some sort of social media activity. This is the third house is the house of the sharing economy. It's about give and take. It's about I'm listening to you if you listen to me kind of energy, and you might be reviewing how you do that. Do you listen, or are you just off in your own world all the time doing your thing and not really giving much attention to other people and their needs? This has given you a chance to reassess how you do with that sort of thing, how you involve yourself in that kind of sharing practice. And it gives you the chance to maybe make some changes where changes are necessary now that Mercury is direct. Some of you, I think, have really had an opportunity over the last 3 weeks to connect with your siblings as well, Aries, in a very meaningful way. And that being the case, I hope that you've been able to resolve any conflicts and make a fresh start with your relationships where necessary with siblings as well. Thank you, Aries. Taurus. Taurus rising, Taurus sun, and Taurus moon people, you are having Mercury turn direct in your 8th house. Now, I'm going to be using the Vedic definition of houses for our analysis this week, just to mix things up a bit and give a different perspective. But Mercury has now turned direct in Sagittarius. This is the 8th house, another of the moksha houses, the liberation houses in the astrological chart. So what that means for Taurus is that many of you Taurian people will be reaching some point of ending and liberation, maybe regarding somebody else's money. Maybe, you've been counting on someone else's money in some way for some time, and Mercury turning direct here now has given you a chance to review how you're leaning on somebody else for their resources, and you can draw to a close that sort of reliance on somebody else. The 8th house is a house of dependence on other people. It's other people's money. Really, Taurus is the energy of self-sufficiency in every possible way. And so many of you Taurus people actually will want to move away from depending on others and be more independent yourself now that Mercury has turned direct here. And that's a really healthy thing to do. So you might have for the last 3 weeks been reviewing and reanalyzing and reassessing your leaning on other people and your resources that you get from others, and making changes is able to be enacted now that Mercury has now turned direct. Some of you Taurus people might actually be getting a lot of psychic downloads now that Mercury has turned direct, because this is the house of psychic revelations, eureka moments, epiphanies, that kind of thing. And you might have had, let's say, an epiphany about 3 weeks ago, and you've been really pondering on it and thinking about it and reviewing that understanding that you received from the divine. And now that Mercury is direct, you can really integrate it into yourself. You can start living by it. You can start utilizing that new piece of understanding that you've taken on board. The 8th house, Taurus, is also about anything occult. So astrology, energy healing. It's about things like acupuncture and alternative methods for healing. It's about psychology as well. Some of you might be very much inclined to move forward with some research into those areas of life now, to start utilizing those things in a stronger way in your life. So maybe you start using tarot cards, or maybe you start studying astrology or something. You've had the chance to review and research those mechanisms, those occult practices that have really floated your boat. Now you can actually utilize them and put them to good use in your life. This is also, in Vedic astrology, a house of rapid change, big life turns around. Sometimes that's accidents and chronic illness that we see from the 8th house. Sometimes it's just massive windfalls that take us from one state of being to another. Can be positive, can be negative, and Mercury retrograde is neither here nor there with regard to positive or negative influence. But let's just say that you have been through a big change, a big redirectioning of life. Well, this retrograde process of Mercury has given you a chance to think about it. Okay, is this new direction that I'm now moving down, is this where I want to be? Is this the life I want to live? And you can recommit to that big, massive change that's occurred in your life. You can, this is a house of deep research. You can research the next step you're going to take that's going to really bring about that positive change. If you have been, and I hope nobody has, but if you have been victim of some sort of accident or chronic illness, Mercury retrograding here has given you a chance to research how you're going to deal with that and how to heal from that in the best possible way. Now that you've had the chance to research and review that, you can start taking action. Maybe you found yourself a super duper surgeon who can help you, and so you can now put your plans in motion to contact that guy, to get an appointment, and to start working on your healing. This is a healing house, I'll also add as well. So in that sense, there's been a lot of renewal that's taken place, which is perfect for this 8th house energy because it is a house of transformation. You have had the chance to transform your life and renew your life through your own analysis, and now you can make it happen. Transformation comes in. So Taurus, I will just point out also that Mercury is the ruler of the house opposite to where it's gone retrograde, which is your second house. So it's very much about you developing your own self-sufficiency, your own self-reliance now. You don't want to be dependent on other people anymore. This comes back in here with the rulership of Mercury, the chance to be independent. You've reviewed how you can be, how you can make it work for you. Now it's time to start running with that and enjoying that feeling of personal power and empowerment that comes when we can do things of our own accord and of our own bat and not have to lean on anybody else. So very much a time of second thoughts and second chances with regards to how and where your resources are coming from. Thank you, Taurus. Gemini rising, Gemini sun, Gemini moon. Well, guys, this is happening on your relationship axis. The Mercury retrograde is occurring in the 7th house of partnership. So mostly this has been affecting your partners. I'm using the Vedic astrology house definitions in my determination here. The 7th house is about your spouse and your married life. Some of you Gemini people might have been reviewing whether you're happy in your married life, whether you're happy with the spouse that you've got and the decision you made to be with them. Some of you might be reviewing your decision to stay with that person when really deep down in your heart you felt like you got to leave. It's a very big time to have Mercury retrograding in the 7th house because you're researching your next step with partnership. Some of you might have been reviewing your next step with regard to getting married. Some of you might be dating someone and you're like, I really want to take it to the next level. And so Mercury has given you the chance to sort of research that, review that. Is this the person you want to spend the rest of your life with? And now that Mercury's turned direct, now you can move ahead with, okay, let's get engaged, or no, I think this is actually not going to work. And you can make a call either way. Some of you might find that this Mercury retrograde period has been a really good opportunity to resolve conflicts, to end any sort of squabbles that you've had, to take responsibility for who you are and your role in the relationship. And I'm not just talking about marriage, partners, but I'm also talking about business relationships, relationships with clients, relationships with your audience, your tennis partner. Maybe you've had a bit of a squabble and a falling out, and now you've had the chance to resolve it during Mercury retrograde. You can move ahead and win that tournament with your tennis partner. So this is other people are seen through the 7th house, and this has been a chance, Mercury retrograde, to resolve conflicts and reconnect. Some of you Gemini people might have reconnected with an old partner, like your old first husband's first wife, and you've made a reconnection with that person for better or worse. You might have had a chance to sort of, in this case, reestablish is the word I'm trying to find there, reestablish the relationship. That can happen under Mercury retrograde in the 7th house for some people, not everybody, but some people, to go back to somebody from the past. I'm thinking of Elizabeth Taylor. She married Richard Burton twice. This is the kind of energy when Mercury retrogrades here, you might actually think about getting back together with that old partner. That can happen, not for everybody, but for some people it can. Some of you might be reviewing a reconnection with a business partner that has occurred over the last 3 weeks. And, now if you've decided, you want to rekindle that business relationship, you can move forward with that. If you've decided not to, then you take the actions to draw that to a conclusion. But really, Mercury retrograde has been a chance to review your next step in life with other people, with clients, with with your audience. Also, in Vedic astrology, the 7th house has to do with foreign trade and business. And this is because it's the 10th house from the 10th. So if you are in business, if you are in foreign trade, you've probably been analysing your next step in life. You've been analysing the contracts that you have on the go and probably looking to make a fresh start and some sort of renewed commitments moving forward now that Mercury is direct. Gemini, Mercury rules you and who you are and your body and your health and your charisma and your ability to shine in the world. Now that Mercury is in the 7th house, moving direct, it also indicates that you have had a chance to look at yourself And this is healthy, actually, because Mercury, you've had a chance to analyze, well, what's my role in this relationship? How have I been contributing to this fractured relationship? Or, how have I been contributing to upholding this relationship? And you've had a chance to review your involvement and your personality and your contribution to whatever relational situation you find yourself in. That's a healthy thing to do, like I said. And now that Mercury is direct, you have come to a conclusion about those sorts of things, and you can take action now on making changes that are necessary also in your own life, with your own health, with your own personality, with your own vitality, based on the analysis of a relationship dynamic that you've had and your involvement with that. Thank you very much, my beautiful Gemini friends. All right, Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon people. The energy of Mercury retrograde has been impacting for the last 3 weeks your 6th house. Now, Cancer, I'm going to be utilizing Vedic house analysis for this video, just to mix it up and have something different. And in the Vedic system, this is an Artha house. It's a wealth house, but it's one of those upachaya houses that gets better with age. So Mercury retrograding here has given you a chance to review some of your obligations financially, the bills that you need to pay each month. This is a house of our daily routines, of course, and being that it's a house of wealth matters, it's our daily bills, the grocery list, the electricity bill, the telephone bill, all those things. And you've had a chance to perhaps rebudget and go through how you're spending your money and where all the money goes, and make the necessary changes to move forward in life now that Mercury is direct. It's also a house of health. Many of you Cancer people have been looking at what you eat, what diet and how it's affecting your body, how to live healthier, how to have a good exercise routine. You've had a chance to review your health, and now's the chance to move ahead with those new decisions you've made, those new commitments you've made to your health and your well-being and your diet too. Great time for starting a new dedication to a new exercise regime or a new diet now that Mercury is direct. You might have also been assessing your relationship with your subordinates, and by subordinates that could be employees or people that you employ. If you hire a gardener to do your garden once a month or something like that, if you maybe you hire on a regular basis a cleaner, maybe you employ somebody to cook a meal for you one night a week so that you can get a healthy food, whatever it is, whoever is somebody you employ, or if you're a business owner, your employees, you might have been looking at that commitment, do I really need a cleaner once every 2 weeks, maybe I could do it myself now. You might have been reviewing your commitment to that employee, or that the person that you hire. Maybe you have been revising your who you've had to hire in your business, and you might be revamping. Now that can be good or bad, can't it? It's nobody enjoys firing people, but maybe you've reviewed things and you've decided, I need more employees. They're all feeling very stressed and under strain, and we're making more money than ever, so I'm going to have to hire some more people. There's been an opportunity to review who you hire for work and service and detail kind of jobs in your life, and you can make the changes that have been under review now that Mercury is direct. This is, if you've been unwell, if you've had illness going on in your life, Mercury turning direct here has given you the chance to move forward with some form of healing. You might have discovered some alternative practice like acupuncture or homeopathy or something like that, and you can actually start to put that into practice now. Start utilizing it to heal your body from a certain illness or whatever. Oftentimes when Mercury is retrograde in the 6th house, we get the chance to come to an understanding about where our illness is coming from, why we are feeling the way we are, and then we can start to, once we know why, we can then implement the solution. So in that sense, it's an exciting time when Mercury turns retrograde in the 6th house. And Cancer, Mercury rules your 12th house. rules Gemini. And so to have the 12th house Lord turning direct now in the 6th house, it's very focused on karma. It's very focused on healing. And so I really feel that this Mercury retrograde has not only given you a chance to heal the body, but also to heal the past psychological wounds that you may carry as well. And in doing so, it frees and liberates both the body and the mind. So Mercury has given you a chance to do a deep psychological dive, maybe looking at old patterns and behaviors from early childhood that haven't served you very well. And now that Mercury is direct, you've been given a chance to make changes there, to liberate yourself from those past patterns and set you free. This is very karmic, and I'll just point out that this is an extremely karmic axis. And the more that you now utilize the energy of change here for service, to help, to heal, to fix the lives of other people, and to help and heal and fix your own life, the more you're going to see things flourish now that Mercury is turned direct. Thank you very much, Cancer. Leo rising, Leo sun, Leo moon. Mercury has been retrograding for Leo people in the very blessed, I might add, 5th house, which is a great place for Mercury to be sitting. It's in good dignity in Sagittarius, which is also a relief. But I'm using Vedic analysis of 5th house meanings here. And the 5th house in Vedic astrology is the house of honors. So maybe, you have been either the recipient of or the instigator or the giver-outerer of some kind of honors in the world. And, maybe let's use an analogy. Maybe you chose to give some sort of honor to some person, maybe you run a class or something and you were going to give the award for the highest achievement to a certain person. But then along comes Mercury retrograde in this house and you are reviewing your decision. Now, hang on a minute. Are they really deserving? Do they really know what they're talking about? Have they learned all they can? Or is this person who got less grades actually more competent? And you're reviewing your decision for the instigation of some sort of honor under this influence, for example. Or maybe somebody has been reviewing the instigation of some sort of honor on you, because this is the house of honors. That's just an example. It's also in Vedic astrology the house of investments, and you might have been reviewing your investments. You're reviewing and reconsidering where you've placed your money, what you have invested in at some point in your life. It might have been in the last 3 weeks, but it could have been earlier than that. You might have just been reviewing your investments and making changes where changes is necessary. Now that Mercury is direct, you can move forward with that analysis that you've done and start to implement changes in your investment portfolio, for example. It's one of the houses of our karmic rewards, the house of good karma from our past lives. Mercury retrograde here may have caused you to feel like good karma had evaporated and the blessings were a bit harder to come by, like you weren't being supported by the divine for the last 3 weeks. But now that Mercury is direct, you are going to feel like the good rewards come rushing in, especially as Mercury also rules in your chart the 5th house, the 11th house of rewards and gains. Now that Mercury is direct, rewards and gains start to come in as a karmic reward for the good work that you've done. Now, very pertinent to Leo people, some of you might have had a visit from an old lover, an old boyfriend, an old girlfriend, even an old spouse. And, maybe that spouse was keen to rekindle something with you. Some romance was in the air regarding that old boyfriend, girlfriend, lover, partner, etc. You've had a chance to review. Do you want to pursue that? Is that something that you want to embrace? Do you wish that you had them back in your life? Now you can implement whatever change you wanted to make there and make a fresh start with that person, or make a fresh start without that person, whatever your decision actually is. But yeah, old flames can certainly show up during Mercury retrograde in the 5th house. Now, this is also a house of children. And some of you might have had an opportunity to change your relationship with your children, to revamp the relationship you've had with your children. Maybe when your children were little, you were very authoritarian. Along comes Mercury retrograde in the 5th house, and you reconsider, you know what, my kids, they're like, in their late teens now, I'm done with being the authoritarian. I want to enjoy, the relationship I've got with my children while I still can before they fly the coop and leave home. So you change your relationship with your children based on this review you've done, or this revamping time that's happened over the last 3 weeks with Mercury retrograding here. So big changes in the cards. Even some of you might have been reviewing your love life, looking at romance or lack of it, and making some decisions to change whatever is lacking, whatever is missing. If you've got a boyfriend and it's not floating your boat anymore, what needs to change in that relationship? If you really want to meet a girlfriend, what have you got to do to make that happen? What's your next step with regard to bringing love into your life? This Mercury retrograde phase has given you a chance to go over those things and revisit those things and make changes that are necessary now that he's moving direct. I would also suggest that for many of you Leo people, Mercury ruling the 11th house and having gone retrograde in the 5th house, I mentioned might bring in some sort of profitability and gainfulness now that he's direct, but you also might have been reviewing friendships, connections, life goals, life dreams as well, and how you're going about achieving those life goals and dreams and those social connections. You might be revamping those. You might be making a fresh start with regard to 11th house things like dreams, goals, aspirations, friendships, networks, etc., and moving ahead with a new way and a new approach of dealing with those things. Thank you, Leo. Okay, Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon people. Well, the energy of Mercury turning direct is affecting your 4th house. This is where Mercury has been retrograding for the last 3 weeks. I'm going to be using Vedic analysis to talk about the 4th house and the effect now that Mercury is turning direct down here. Well, this is another of the moksha houses. There's 3 of them in the Vedic astrology system. And of course, moksha means liberation, being set free from something. So many of you will have a chance to be set free now that Mercury turns direct down here with regard to your emotional weight, emotional heaviness, with regard to family, your past. There's really an ending period that is coming. And this is particularly true the older that you are, because the 4th house has to do with the latter stages of life. And that's why it's one of the liberation houses. It actually represents the end of life. So if you're sort of maybe 70 and above and watching this, this is very pertinent for you. Mercury retrograding here has probably given you a chance to review your retirement and your, the direction that the latter part of your life is taking. You've been able to make some decisions about maybe resources and money for retirement, about the next step you want to make in life. Some people get to their retiring age and they're like, I don't want to stop. This is my mother all over. She is just a goer, She's well into her 70s and still teaching little children all day, every day, and loves it. I don't see her ending that anytime soon. But she, if this was her chart, which actually she's a Virgo moon, so it very well is her chart actually, she might be reviewing, okay, I'm in the latter stages of my life. Is this where I want to go? Do I want to keep looking after and teaching little children every day? Or is there something else I could be doing with the latter stages, the latter years of my life? I'm very interested to talk to my mother now and find out if she's changed her direction at all as a result of Mercury retrograding in this part of the chart. Okay, so that's that. But also, if you're not at that age, if you're not at retirement age and reviewing where you want to go, this is also the house of the mother. So for some of you, I'm not Virgo, so this is not actually describing me talking about my mother as a Pisces person. But if you're a Virgo person, this could be referring to your mother. You might have had a reconnection with a mother or a rekindling of something with your mother. I'm not saying that you were in any animosity with your mother, but I don't know, maybe you've had a chance to get together and have a coffee for a few occasions over the last 3 weeks, and you just feel more closely bonded with your mother than ever before. You've maybe been shopping together or had an afternoon at a high tea together or done something really fun with your mum, and it's created a lot of emotional happiness for you during Mercury retrograde. Well, that's going to set you up for a new dynamic with your mum going forward into the coming days and weeks and months. This in Vedic astrology is also the house of emotional happiness. Many of you Virgo people will have been looking at your level of happiness, and where happiness is being held back and blocked in your life. And this Mercury retrograde phase has given you a chance to review, okay, what do I want to do with my life to bring more emotional happiness in? So maybe, you've been quite lonely and isolated and you're feeling like you don't have enough friends in your life. So Mercury retrograde has given you the chance to sort of review, well, what do I need to do to attract more friends? Maybe I need to go out and join a group or a club or, an organization or something where I can interact with people. So Mercury retrograde has given you perhaps a chance to review how you can create more emotional happiness in your life. And now that Mercury is direct, go to it. Start interacting, start meeting people, creating friends, or whatever it is that you need to do to create more emotional happiness. Also in Vedic astrology, there's so much that the fourth house rules in Vedic astrology, but the key things are it rules home, it rules farms, it rules real estate and property and land. So some of you might have been reviewing where you live, how you live. You might have been looking at some real estate. It's never a good time to buy real estate when Mercury is retrograding in your fourth house, but now that Mercury's turned direct, you absolutely can sign up for that rental property. You absolutely can sign a contract for that farm that you want to buy or whatever. You can actually move ahead with your commitments. But the retrograde phase has given you a chance to really review what you want in a place of living. What qualities you need, what attributes you need the property to have. You've had a chance to really go deep and understand what it is that you're looking for in a property. And now that he's direct, go for it, my friends. And that also includes other things like cars and vehicles. If you've been looking at buying a car, you never buy a car when Mercury is retrograding in the fourth house. But now that he's direct, you know what you're looking for. You know the kind of car that you need. So you can go to it and purchase that car now that Mercury is direct. Also, Mercury rules the 10th house in a Virgo chart. And here, with his retrograde process happening in the opposite house from the 10th house, you have also had a chance to review and reconnect and recommit with 10th house things as well. So career, worldly achievements, reputation, your dharma, your purpose, and the ability to make money out there in the world has all been being under analysis, under the microscope while Mercury is retrograde, giving you the chance to review things and perhaps restore something that needed restoring, make a fresh start career-wise. So Mercury here has given you the chance to turn over a new leaf with those 10th house things as well as the 4th house things I mentioned. Moving along, Libra rising, Libra sun, Libra moon people. Well, Mercury turning direct is affecting your 3rd house. And I'm using the Vedic astrology houses for my analysis here. This Mercury period, the last 3 weeks, has probably given you a chance to resolve conflicts with a relative or with a sibling, because siblings are seen through the 3rd house, particularly younger siblings. So if you've had a falling out or if things have been fractious, this Mercury retrograde period has given you a chance to move forward in a positive light. And now that he's direct, go for it. That friendship hopefully has been restored and renewed or resolved in some way that is satisfactory for both partners. This in Vedic astrology is a house of competition. So if you are competing for something, maybe in an art show, maybe in the music industry, maybe you've been competing for something in terms of, a sports team or something like that. Let's say you're in a sports team. I'm not just sort of laying a bet on a sports team, but a competition that you're involved in is very 3rd house. Maybe you've been reviewing that. Okay, is this really a competition that I want to get involved in? Like, I'll give you an example out of my chart. I'm a Libra moon. when I was growing up, I loved playing netball. I loved it. Oh my God, it was so good. But you know what? I have Mars with Sun in my natal chart. And even though I loved netball, I was always embarrassed, so embarrassed at my competitiveness on the netball court, shall we say, to the point where I felt like I would burst a blood vessel after every game because I would get so angry at the umpires, frustrated at my teammates, because when you've got Mars with Sun in the chart, you are super, super competitive, but it's painful to be so competitive. So the best thing you can do is perhaps just compete against yourself. Like bike riding, trying to beat your time, or, swimming, trying to do an extra lap every time you go to the pool or whatever. Compete against yourself, not against other people. It's just not healthy. But anyhow, that's a little bit of a side track. Suffice to say that this Mercury retrograde in the house of competition has probably given you a chance to review, as I did many years ago, is this netball competition the best thing for me? Or am I just embarrassing myself every single game through my behavior that I can't seem to control? And in my case, I chose to pull out and start competing only against myself in sports that were singular rather than team-based. Mercury retrograding here for Libran people has probably given you a chance to analyze your involvement in some sort of competitive field. Is it floating your boat, or is it causing you to be very embarrassed about your behavior? And if you can make a change now that Mercury turns direct, this is a time of second thoughts and second chances with some competitive field that you've been participating in. This is a house also of skills. And maybe you took up the clarinet 3 weeks ago and you've spent the last 3 weeks sort of feeling like, oh, what did I do? This is crazy, But now that Mercury has turned direct, you get to have a second chance, if you like, at really moving ahead with that clarinet studies or whatever skill it is. I'm using clarinet as an example. So it might have been difficult to learn clarinet while Mercury was retrograde in the house of skills, but now Mercury is moving forward. You are actually feeling like, well, all that work I put in, learning the clarinet or practicing leather work or doing some sort of whatever handiwork skills you want to apply here. Now that you've had that 3 weeks of really sort of knuckling down, trying to make it work, reviewing whether you really wanted to do this, you're probably going to find that you can plow ahead in a really powerful way. Maybe in a matter of another 3 weeks, you're going to be playing Benny Goodman on the clarinet, and it's all rosy. So the work's been done, the commitment's been reviewed, the commitment's been made, and you are now in a position to really start moving forward with those new skill sets that you've been developing based on this placement. This is a house in Vedic astrology that has to do with writing and music as well. Now, when I was young, I loved writing music. I really did. I wrote songs and I sang songs. I recorded them for my own pleasure. You'll never buy an album. But you might, under this energy, Libra, maybe you're reviewing, okay, well, I did that album for myself. Maybe I should try and publish it. Maybe I should put it out there. You're reviewing something to do with writing and music, the arts, which is a third house thing in Vedic astrology here. So maybe your decision to keep that novel you wrote to yourself, you've reviewed over the last 3 weeks and you've decided, you know what, I am going to send that to a publisher. I am going to try and see what happens. And away you go. You can move ahead with it. This is especially true for Librans because Sagittarius is a house of publishing here in the third house of writing. Sagittarius is a sign of publishing here in the third house of writing. It's also an energy of short trips. So you might have been able to take some short trips that have expanded your understanding and awareness over the last 3 weeks, my beautiful Libran friends. But especially as Mercury is the ruler of your 9th house, not only short trips, but long trips, faraway trips, overseas travel has likely been on the cards for the last 3 weeks. Absolutely, I'm a Libran moon and I've been away in America. So absolutely this is true. But for me, anyhow, it might, we don't always manifest every single thing that I talk about, maybe one thing or another. But this trip, this travel, because of Mercury retrograde, has probably given you a chance to review ninth house things, your worldview, your morals, your ethics, your philosophies, and you've been able to reconsider those things. Maybe you've been able to reconsider the relationship with your spouse, because in Vedic astrology, the relationship with the spouse is seen from the third house, the ninth house. And this is the ninth house lord. So your connection with spouse, your communication with spouse might have been under review for the last 3 weeks. Now is the chance, now that Mercury's turned direct, to move forward with those things you've reconsidered and reanalyzed and reinvested in over the last 3 weeks. Now that your travels are over, it's time to sort of implement the expansion that those travels brought you, the understanding and the knowledge that that experience gave to you, and you can start utilizing it further in your life now. Thank you very much, lovely Librans. And finally, my sensational Scorpio rising sun or moon people, we are looking at Mercury turning direct in your second house. So this is an analysis I'm giving based on the Vedic second house principles. And in Vedic astrology, Mercury turning direct in one of the wealth houses, the house of income and wealth and finances, means you have had over the last 3 weeks a chance to review your commitments financially, to review your financial decisions, to review your budget. And now that Mercury has turned direct, it's time to implement that budget. It's time to work with that budget and apply that budget and live by that budget. So this has been a really important transit for many of you Scorpios to create more prosperity in your life by analyzing how you use your money. Not only that, in Vedic astrology, this is a house of education. Some of you Scorpio people have been analyzing for the last 3 weeks where you want to direct your learning to, what you want to learn. Do you want to learn astrology with Kesenya at the Royal Stars Academy, or do you want to go and study philosophy at university? So you've been analyzing and weighing things up and reviewing things regarding education now. By now, after Mercury has been retrograde, you should have made a decision, and now you can move forward with that choice regarding education and how you want to keep growing and learning in your life. Domestic happiness is also seen from the second house, my Scorpio friends, and you've probably been weighing up where your domestic life has been lacking. You know, if you go home and you feel depressed as soon as you walk in the door, Mercury retrograde has given you a chance to analyze, well, where do I need to make a fresh start here? You know, do I need to repaint my lounge room so it feels brighter, lighter, and happier? Do I need to talk to my housemates about the garbage that they leave all over the place? What do I need to do to create more domestic happiness in my life? You have had a chance to review those things, to analyze those things, and now Mercury is direct to move forward, making a fresh start with your domestic life. This is a house of food and drink. It's not so much our diet. That's a sixth house thing. How it affects our body, how food affects our body is a sixth house thing. But it is a house of the food that we eat here. And Mercury retrograde here has probably had you analyzing what you have been eating for the last 3 weeks. You might have even been keeping records, you know, writing down, I had 8 glasses of water this day and I had eggs for breakfast and blah, blah, blah. You know, you might have been keeping tabs on what you've been eating and you've been analyzing it. Okay, where are my eating habits going awry here? And now you can make changes to the food that you eat or the way you cook or, the pleasure you derive from food can be changed now, you know. This can even represent a change in your palate that's happened over the last 3 weeks. You know, maybe 3 weeks ago you loved honeyed carrots and you'd have them with every meal. Oh, yum, honeyed carrots are great or whatever. And then Mercury turns direct after going retrograde here and you're like, honeyed carrots, what was I thinking? No way, I don't even like carrots. Yuck, no more. You've changed your mind, you've reviewed your palate based on this Vedic analysis of the second house, which is all about our tastes, the foods that we eat, our preferences. Change has come. And this is also in Vedic astrology, the house of our close friends that feel like family to us. And may I just say, you might have been analyzing friendships that need to go and friendships that can stay, and making a fresh start, maybe even resolving some conflicts with particularly close friends now. Finally, this is the house of dress in Vedic astrology. You might have been analysing your cupboard, your wardrobe, throwing out what you didn't want anymore, keeping the things that you did like, making some changes, adding to the wardrobe where it needed adding to, so that your clothing now reflects the person that you are. And now that Mercury has reached his direct phase, it's time to enjoy those revisions of your dress and your clothing and the new style that you want to encompass. I will finally mention to Scorpio that Mercury is the ruler of the house opposite where he's been retrograding, in this case, the house of other people's resources. So many of you Scorpio people have been going through an analysis of where you lean on other people and you're depending on other people's resources, and how you can be more self-sufficient, which is very much a second house thing. Independence, self-sufficiency, working off your own resources and skills and abilities as a second house thing. And the 8th house is leaning on others for moral support, physical support, financial support, whatever. Now you are making changes because you've been analyzing for the last 3 weeks the way you lean on others, where you are dependent on others, and making the changes can now be implemented so that you are more independent, you are more self-sufficient, you're not beholden to other people financially now. So change in that sense can come about from Mercury turning direct as well. Well, my dear friends, thank you for joining me for the Astro Weather Report. It has been a joy and a privilege. I'll have more astrology for you next week, but until then, may you all be blessed.